Coming up on the game plan with Ron Rivera, the Commanders head out to the Pacific Northwest for a matchup with the Seahawks. Coach tells us how the team is gearing up for Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, and the 12th man they'll face in Seattle. We'll review the game tape and break down the key matchups to get you ready for kickoff. It's your inside look at the game plan, and it starts now. The game plan with Ron Rivera is presented by your local Honda dealer. Feel the power of Honda's most electrifying vehicles yet, like the CR-V Hybrid and Accord Hybrid. Find adventure in a rugged SUV like the Pilot Trail Sport, or experience performance in a fun-to-drive Civic. Find your perfect Honda. See your local Honda dealer today. And by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. Welcome to the game plan with Ron Rivera. I'm Logan Paulson. Thanks so much for joining us. Coach, I know you're here now in studio. This is a little bit TV magic, but you went, when did you head out to Seattle? Why did you make the decision to go when you went?
Well, we headed out on Friday.
Okay.
And, one of the biggest things we want to do is get a little more acclimated to the time change. But we have a couple things in mind, some of the things that we wanted to do to kind of get the guys, a little bit more energy back, kind of get them a little bit unfoggy. Because, well, when you travel that long and it's a little bit more than a 6-hour flight, they're going to be a little groggy, and we want to get them, back out on their feet, get them moving around a little bit. So we got a couple things planned for them.
I remember that's kind of like a big logistical thing, right? We got to get our workouts in, we got to get the walkthrough in. Are you going to any downtime? I remember like a lot of guys would go see the Starbucks or go watch the fish or whatever. You got anything like that planned?
Yeah, we got a little downtime from once we get done with our morning walkthrough and meetings. They'll have probably about a 5-hour stretch where they can just kind of enjoy the city of Seattle a little bit, and then we'll bring them back, get back into our pregame meetings that night, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So a guy that I'm really excited to talk to you about, a guy that's been playing really good football the last couple of weeks, is Sam Howell. What's the expectation for him today against the Seattle defense, which has got some good playmakers on it?
Well, I think the biggest thing really is about what's the expectation for the offense first and foremost. That is to be able to protect him and give him his opportunities to throw the ball. We want to be able to run the ball successfully. We want to be able to push the ball downfield with good balance. Okay. Run the ball and then also be able to throw the ball and do the things that really kind of keep them on their heels as opposed to give them a chance to get on their toes.
So that's really interesting because I look at that Baltimore game and they ran the heck out of the football. Do you look at that game and say, hey man, we can do some of that, or is it, hey, we are who we are from an offensive standpoint and kind of do what we want to do?
I think it's a little bit of both. You look at what they did and say, wow, we have that in our package, we can incorporate that into what we want to do and use it to the best of our abilities. And big thing is also a lot of these things will be up to how Sam perceives it as well.
Sure.
Not from just handing the ball off, but the reads that he'll make based on what he's seeing as far as the coverages. Mm-hmm. Does he like certain matchups? Those are things that are real important for him to help move that offense along.
And for that offense, it's kind of like a heavyweight fight with all those skill guys in the back end. For the defense, they got kind of a unique situation here, right? They've got Seattle has all of these explosive playmakers and a quarterback that's willing to push the football down the field. Where's the starting point with stopping an offense like that?
Well, stopping an offense like this, you got to get after the passer more so than anything else.
Love that.
The big thing is because they are an explosive team. So they take their shots, and we just can't allow explosives over the top. That's been one of our emphases earlier in the year. We've worked some of those things out. We've been better at it, but we just got to keep it in front of us and make them grind it. We feel that if we can do that at certain points, we'll be able to take advantage and really use that to help us stop them.
And then as a coach, do you look at this and say, man, I really can't wait to see player X versus this player for them? Do you have a matchup like that you really keyed in on?
Well, I wouldn't say one individual thing.
I mean, because you're like a proud dad. You got a bunch of people you're watching.
We really do, but what's going to be real interesting is how we match up with DK Metcalf, how we match up with Lockett, how we match up with Walker, how our offensive line matches up with our pass rush. I think that's one of the really big ones. And then like you said, their skill position players on defense versus our skill position players on offense. That's a very good matchup.
Yeah, Coach, can't wait to check it out. Thanks so much, man.
All right.
Let's take a look at the defensive numbers from last week's win over the Patriots. Here we go. Everything up there is awesome. One of the things I'd like to point out is 107 rushing yards, 65 of which came on one play. They can get that cleaned up this week against Seattle. And that 220 yards passing, man, that would be awesome to see that this week versus the Seattle Seahawks. Let's fire up the film room presented by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. All right, Coach, let's talk about these young defensive backs. And I think they had a pretty solid game in this last outing, specifically this guy, Emmanuel Forbes. And here you got on the backside, I don't know the exact coverage, Coach, but it looks like he's in some type of man or match. I don't know, especially with the linebacker match in the back. I don't know the exact coverage, but great job here, being patient, playing with outside leverage, right? And breaking up this football.
Exactly. For the most part, we got a middle open defense here. He's got a half safety here for the help. So he wants to play an outside position because if he breaks to the post, he's got the immediate help. So he's in great position. okay? He's looking through the receiver to the quarterback, which allows him to flip his hips and break downhill, okay, towards the sideline and help break this play up.
Yeah, and I think that's a great job. And, using the hands, using the length, but also the footwork at the top of this is something that, when you watch him in college is something you always really liked. So to see that there, great job by him. And then the thing, I love this coach because he's a guy that, has been a little bit up and down as a tackler, but gosh, this doesn't get much better than this. This is a third long situation. They're running a screen. You pointed this out. You guys are bringing a pressure into this, which is less than ideal. You don't want to be doing that. And it's really him versus Ramondre Stevenson, who's about 235 pounds, and he comes and makes a nice play here.
Yes, that's one thing about Emmanuel is he is fearless. He does not mind throwing his body around to make the play. And in a situation like that, it's really, hey, come down low, good pad level, and leverage yourself in a position where you turn him back to the pursuit, okay, and hang on. And that's exactly what he did. And again, this is a heck of a play by the young man, and it just shows you just how tough he is in terms of his mentality and his ability to throw himself around because, again, this was a big stop for us. They ended up punting here. Yeah,
absolutely. And this guy, he broke a ton of tackles. And so this is not an easy tackle. This is not an easy takedown. But like you said, get wrapped up and then hang on for dear life, right? The cavalry's coming. Great job by him there. Love seeing that physicality. Another guy that I thought had a pretty solid game, a little up and down, but did more good things than bad, I thought, was Percy Butler. And I like to see him when he's playing fast, aggressive football, right? You get a motion here by the tight end, little change of strength motion. He's coming across the formation. You guys kind of rock and roll to this. He becomes the box player. And I think this is just a very confident downhill tackle.
It really is. And one of the really nice things that helps us really is just how everybody fits their gaps, okay? Yeah. Got our defensive ends getting vertical. He's inside the tight end. He's trying to push as deep as he can to make sure this thing can't cut right now, okay? Then we've got the linebackers fitting after that. Then we've got the nickel coming in, Benjamin St-Juste fitting. And now here comes the safety fitting right off of Benjamin, and we're in great position to shut this play down.
I was going to say, that's really a nice job. It's one of the things you don't notice. You watch this play 100 times, you don't notice it. But great job by Benjamin St-Juste, kind of taking two here, right? Getting into the tight end, making the tackle, use them up so you get two guys free to the ball. One is Percy, and the other is Mayo. So really great job by the whole defense on a play where Percy gets the tackle. So in addition to that, I thought Percy, again, showed some evolution as a coverage player. He's here, little disguise going on. I think that's him right there. And he kind of works down in that robber position and makes a nice PBU here.
He does. And again, it's all about the timing and reading what he sees. And more so than anything else, he sees the tight end trying to drag across the formation. Again, playing the robber position gives him an opportunity to play with vision and then get downhill and make a play.
And I think it's nice to see guys starting to develop, right? Kind of understand how they fit in the context of the defense and making plays like this. This is late in the game, and so all these plays late in the day were big for you guys.
Yes, they were, and especially in a situation like this, understanding exactly what this quarterback likes to do. We've seen it all day. He does not mind throwing the underneath routes.
Yeah, so take it away. And then probably the play of the day, Coach, right, was one where a young guy, Quan, gets credit for the interception, but I really, really like what Kendall Fuller did here on this in cut to Juju Smith, right? That's who it was, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Well, the biggest thing is, and again, the quarterback knows it and he sees it. All right, Kendall, for the most part, has great anticipation. He's put himself in good position, first of all, because his technique puts him above the receiver. And the receiver, once he makes that initial cut, the only way he can get back outside is to run through Kendall. So Kendall's in great position. The quarterback sees that. He puts the ball just a little too far out in front because of Kendall's position, in my opinion. And that's what happens because of that. The ball gets tipped. Great break right there by Quan.
Yeah, and it's great to see, Quan making some plays, Kendall making the plays. That's what we've come to expect from Kendall. But nice to see the defensive backfield, especially the young pieces, come along, playing better football. Always super exciting. Coach, thanks for sharing. Really appreciate it. If you guys like the game plan, you guys will love Command Center. That's our flagship program, Commanders content all the time. Fred, Santana, and myself, and sometimes the captain, London Fletcher, stops by. This week we played Move the Chains. Who knows what the rules are? No one cares. Check it out Thursday on the Commanders YouTube channel. Make sure you stick around. When we come back, Coach and I head into his office to go behind enemy lines and talk about what it will take to win out west. That's next on The Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back to The Game Plan with Ron Rivera. It's time for the Rivera Review, presented by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dining reservations or private dining calls, 703-840-2099. All All right, Coach, this is probably my favorite part of the show. We get to talk a little bit of film of the opponent. And one of the things about the Seahawks I think is interesting is they're very talented on the defensive side of the ball, but they don't do things that are overly complex. Offensively, they're kind of this boom or bust type of unit, right? And I think I pulled some clips here that kind of encapsulate that. We'll see what you think of them. So, but yeah, down low, Red, they've had a big issue. They've been a little bit inefficient, kind of getting to these third down situations, not being able to finish drives. Why don't you talk about what you see from Cleveland here defensively, and then how important it is to keep Geno Smith in this pocket?
Right. Well, it looks like for the most part that they're playing some form of man with a high-low. Okay, they've got a hole player and they've got a deep safety playing.
You're talking about this hole player with this middle linebacker, right?
Right, middle linebacker playing the hole. All right, the safety playing the deep post, and what they're doing up here to the field. They're playing heavy inside, and they're inviting the fade. They're saying, I'm not going to let you cross my face, and unfortunately, he let him cross his face. But because of it, the quarterback's under a little duress, and he didn't get a chance to pull the trigger right there. But this is something you have to be very aware of, and this is kind of a carryover from when Wilson used to be their quarterback. Russell Wilson used to scramble, and then you would see them go into their scramble drill. But watch what happens. Whenever he scrambles to his right, everybody comes back to the right. But the guy that he looks for more than anybody else is number 16, Lockett.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a really strong relationship, right? Like everyone talks about DK, but I feel like Lockett's a little bit more polished. Let's talk about this offensive line for a second. I think that's been a kind of an issue with some of the stuff they're doing. They got new pieces in there all the time, and guys not consistently winning one-on-ones. How do you continue to keep them kind of flummoxed, I guess? Well,
I think one of the things is, again, you've got to be able to know when to run your line stunts and when not to. Secondly, you just got to know what your best matchups are. And for them, I think, again, coming off the edge, this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, with Myles Garrett,
Yes, but the big problem here more than anything else is for the defense is they're not in sync in terms of who's exactly, because as soon as that gap opens up, all right, you got nobody out there to contain the quarterback.
So in this look, let's rewind that, Coach. Would you like 94 here to work vertically here?
Yes, to stay vertical.
With 99 staying
to
this gap here.
Right. Once he feels his guy, okay, Myles Garrett go past him. What he should have done was he should have maintained that outside position, because if he comes back inside, where's that quarterback going to go? And that's outside. If he stayed at level, get to the quarterback's level, and then read from there, he had a much better chance to make this play.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's not a big scrambler, but he does extend plays and he does have a big arm. And they do have dynamic playmakers. Another thing they do a ton of, Coach, is they got this kind of Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, play action, pass, motion, and they do a good job of finding explosive plays. And Cleveland here is in I guess this is man coverage is what I would say. And you get a good matchup up top for the Seahawks with DK Metcalf on a guy who looks like he's expecting more help from the post safety.
Yes, well, anytime you get this kind of action, okay, and you see that, hey, now they've indicated they're in man, this is one of the things that they are, because they don't sustain as many drives as people think. Okay, so they rely on their explosive play. The thing that happens here is because they are playing man, okay, and what you would like to think almost is that just because the safety should understand that this should be a 60-40 split. He should favor 60 to side, because that's where most of the field is. Okay, and what happens is because this man comes across in motion, it now puts 3 receivers into the boundary. The safety now in his mind thinks, oh, there's 3 into the boundary, I got to favor the 3 side. And because of that, all right, he takes himself, and as subtle as it is, all right, he puts himself right in the middle of the field. Okay, now some people's philosophy is you don't play the middle of the field as much as you play where you're supposed to be helping.
I gotcha.
If you're helping to the field, to the widest part of the field, then what you should do is maintain and stay to that side. And you would almost think that that's what he had done, just knowing that Metcalf's there. And once you put a guy on an island with a DK Metcalf and you don't get your hands on him, he's so strong and fast and powerful that he is going to get a step on you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing when you watch him, he kind of looks like it's like a creative player in Madden. He can just run by people. The other thing I like about this coach for Seattle is they understand their weaknesses here, right? So they leave a back in, they leave a tight end in for chip help while still working into the route. So it kind of maximizes this group of offensive linemen.
Absolutely, because again, anytime you can give them an opportunity for a DK Metcalf to get downfield, or or a Lockett to use his ability to, find an open area, you're going to give the quarterback more time because of the extra guys protecting, okay?
Yeah, and I think that's interesting too. You mentioned Lockett there. Like he's got dealer's choice here, right? He can go Lockett or he can go Metcalf because of how well they kind of protected this concept, and Cleveland just didn't do a very good job of covering it. So
right. Well, part of the problem too is, again, to me, it's again understanding where is the anticipated help. Yeah. Initially, it starts anticipated help is to the wide side of the field, but because of the motion, right? To me, what happens is the safety stays in the middle and stays in the middle. To me, I would have much rather say, look, we know what their most dangerous guy is. We know Lockett's not going to run a vertical route from the inside position of the bunch, for that matter, too, because.
I think that's so interesting. Every time we do these shows, is the detail defensively. You're talking about a couple of feet sometimes, whether that puts you in a position to make a play or get burned for a big play. So the defensively, I think one of the things about them is like they haven't really evolved too far from what they were with that Seattle cover 3. Right there, they play a little cover 2, they play a little man, but this shows up a lot to me, Coach. Is these 5-man pressures where they're just bringing a nickel here, but they seem to have a really good feel of how to execute these at a high level, create pressures with a 5-man rush, and then they've got the guys in the back end to turn the football over.
Well, they're a very opportunistic defense, first and foremost. That is one thing that they really are. Secondly, the thing that's interesting about this more than anything else is, the quarterback has more time than he realizes. And if you can maintain your poise in the pocket, okay, step up, take the hitch. You've got their tight end 85 Njoku running the drag. He's got time to throw that. Or if he comes up and he hitches, he has a chance to throw the wheel to number 8.
That's a great point. And I think that's one thing about the pressures, that it doesn't seem complicated, but they seem to just be very good at executing them. And again, the guard's a little late off the ball here. Maybe the noise in Seattle puts them in a bad spot. But you're right. If the quarterback just kind of subtly moves here to his right and steps up, there's multiple throws here in this defense.
And again, an experienced quarterback having to step in and play, it's one of those things you just stick to what you're doing, put the ball on your receiver, and you got a chance.
Yeah, trust your guys to make plays, and I think that's something that Sam Howell's been doing a lot better with each and every week. So that's really cool to see. And then this one I think is really interesting, not necessarily because the coverage is really interesting. It kind of feels like zone with elements of man, and then our guy Boye Mafe, who's been their kind of most prolific sack getter, doing his thing here, rushing the quarterback.
Well, the biggest thing is across the board. You look at it, with the exception of the corner down here, everybody's basically right near where the first down markers are. And we used to call this a catch technique, where you would get off the ball at about 8 yards, flat foot read, and break off of what you see, more so than anything else. And being in a zone, okay, what you do is you're protecting an area. But if you're catching and saying, okay, if you catch him and he goes vertical, you're running with it. Okay, so just a little different. I couldn't tell you exactly what the technique is they're using it, because down here you see the weak linebacker. Okay, he's going to look and he's going to turn and he's looking for the crosser. Okay, the really nice thing is the other linebacker on the strong side, he doesn't chase the guy, so there's a spin dig coming in. It's a high-low. But because he's maintaining that position, okay, the quarterback gets off him. Now he's coming down here, and he's going to try and throw this China 7 seam to Beckham in the corner. And as he goes to rethrow it, now the pass rush has time to get there.
And I think that's really what they do a good job of also, is just enough of a question, and it allows their pass rush to get home. And so I want to just talk about this pass rush from 53 here. He's a young player, but love the hands, love the lean, love the finish.
Yes, very good finish. And again, this is one of those things where if you feel it as the quarterback and you hitch up, you have more time. If you don't, again, this is what's going to happen. And again, this is just an excellent pass rush.
But I think that's an interesting point about the quarterback, too, because he gets there and he sits at the top of his drop. If he were to kind of violently step into that little space there, we're not talking about a sack force.
Right, but again, it comes back to the fact that they caught all the receivers, they matched the receivers, and he went from his left side to his right side, and then he hitched in. So that's really a function of what they are doing defensively.
Coach, I always enjoy these sessions so much. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
You like podcasts? You're in luck. Check out these podcasts we have for you every single week. Get Loud on Mondays with Fred Smoot and Michael Jenkins. They talk about everything and anything, not only football. This week it's Mariah Carey and Christmas decorations. Next Man Up on Tuesdays with Brian Colbert Jr. and your favorite Commanders player. This week, Quan Martin. Hear what he's got to say about that huge interception. Command Center on Wednesdays and Fridays with me, Santana, and Fred. That's our flagship program, exclusively Commanders content all the time. And then the Players Club on Fridays with London Fletcher and Santana Moss and your favorite Commanders player. This week it's Sam Howell, and they ask him what his favorite nickname is. Do you think Sammy Whammy makes the cut? Keep it here, because right after the break we'll talk with Coach and a few Washington legends about what the Commanders need to do to secure a win in Seattle this afternoon. That's next on the Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back. It's time for some healthy competition presented by Ortho Virginia, official orthopedic and sports medicine partner of the Washington Commanders. Here's a look at the competition today for the Commanders. Obviously, these two teams are very evenly matched. Look at these offensive statistics, almost identical. I think the key in this matchup today is who's going to protect the football better. Here's what Coach had to say about the Seahawks this week.
This really is about the development and growth of the quarterback, the offense. And so the thing for this one more than anything else is just the continued growth and defensively just, playing better and keep working towards it. I mean, it's to me, it's all in front of us. I really do believe that. And, this, like I said, this to me is it's different just because of where we are as a football team.
That's what Coach had to say about Seattle. If you want more Commanders content, make sure you check out the Command Center special, which was live from Seattle. It came out last night with Santana Moss and B. Mitch. They do a great job, but we recorded it for you. So wherever you get your podcast, you can check that out or on the YouTube page. Stay tuned for later today. We got Command Center Game Day live at 3 p.m. Brian Mitchell and Santana Moss will be live from Lumen Field. They're going to be so close to the action, they can catch the fish down there, man. It's going to be awesome. And then stay tuned for after the game. Command Center post-game live will be B. Mitch, Santana, and myself breaking down everything from this game. You guys are going to love it. You can find that on the Commanders YouTube page, Facebook, and X. It's time for your ticket to a dub, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. Let's hear from the Command Center team on the keys to a win.
All right, guys, we're here discussing our keys to the win against the Seattle Seahawks out in Seattle this Sunday. Tad, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, my key to a win, going over some of the notes and watching some of the film on Seattle, they've been a pretty good team defensively on third down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have a great third down percentage. So I want to see our offense continue to do what they've been doing the last few weeks, is possessing the ball, moving the chains, stay on the field. I think defensively, one of my biggest keys is we got to get out of Geno. I think Geno has showed the last couple of weeks he had over 8 turnovers in 6 games. We have to make him rattled a little bit so he can toss it up to us. That's 2 of my.
Fred, what you got for me?
Well, here you go. Hey, London, it's all about big plays. The Seattle Seahawks are a big play offense. Yes. They push the ball down the field. Kenneth Walker, they break long runs. But the thing they have a problem with is stringing drives together. Mm-hmm. So on defense, can we be patient? Can we play the waiting game? Can we let them get the little yards they want to and then finish them at the end? That's what I'm thinking about.
No explosive plays is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at it from an offensive standpoint. We all played in Seattle. Yep. The noise. With that noise, I think that's going to be key. How we're able to handle their noise, communication along the offensive line, making sure we're not having any false starts or anything like that. If we get that, we handle that noise well, we'll be able to get get the job done and get a victory out of Seattle against the Seattle Seahawks. That's it. Those are our keys to a victory this Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, Coach, those are the guys' keys to getting a victory up in Seattle. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, Fred's wearing a mock neck. Everything's going crazy over there. What's going on?
Well, to me, the key to the dub this week, more so than anything else, and if you really think about it, and I don't disagree with those guys, is really going to be about ball control. Okay. If we can slow their offense down, not allow explosive plays, and get the ball back into the hands of our offense and let them do what they have done the last few weeks, and that is possess the ball, long drives, 8, 9, 10 play drives, and put points on the board, that gives us the best opportunity for a dub.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one of the things about Seattle you alluded to there is their third down percentage is terrible, right? I mean, it's like 29th in the NFL. So kind of maximizing on that, making sure you take away those explosive plays. And that can be easier said than done. So, high level in terms of, I don't want you to give anything away. I know this is called the game plan. We don't want to give anything away specifically with the game plan. But in terms of those weapons, how do you kind of take them away?
Well, I think the biggest thing, first and foremost, is, and I do agree, it does start with the quarterback. We've got to get after Geno. Geno's had a good year last year. He's had his ups and downs this year, but he's still an explosive quarterback who's got a very good arm, who can make all the throws. So we've got to be able to contain him, keep him in the pocket, and that's the first thing that'll help take away some of their explosive plays. Their running game is really solid. I think Walker's a heck of a young football player. And then I really do like who Lockett and Metcalf are for them as far as their offense is concerned. We can't allow them to have explosives over the top.
Absolutely. And then defensively, obviously, Sam Howell's a guy that is getting better each and every week. But this defense they've got like a good team speed. So how do you kind of handle that?
Well, really, the biggest thing more than anything else is, we've got to be balanced. Yep. It's one of the things that EB likes to talk about is balance. We're going to be able to run the ball successfully and get 4.5 yards a chunk every time we run it. And then when we do throw it, okay, we've got to take advantage of what they're giving us. Okay, if they're playing off the ball, we got to get the ball in our receivers' hands as quickly as possible. Let them be explosive. If they're up top and they're pressuring us, we got to give them an opportunity to win at the line and then get vertical.
Absolutely, Coach. Good luck today, man. Really excited to watch the game. And make sure you guys tune in next week for more of the Game Plan with Ron Rivera.